Hello, and welcome to this briefing webcast on the evolving needs of the legal world's cyber and data security in the cloud era. I'm Reem Khurshid, as some of you have already known, as I've introduced myself a couple of times already. And I am the editor of Briefing, which is the publication and events portfolio for legal business leaders like yourself to seek and share perspectives and insights on practical, smart and smarter business management. Today, we're joined by two legal industry experts, one from a corporate legal department and the other from a law firm, respectively. So you'll be hearing from Bernhard Waltl, a computer scientist and legal operations expert at the legal department of BMW Group. Bernhard, as legal operations officer, is responsible for implementing technology-based solutions, which includes topics like document and knowledge management, outside counsel management, and process management. He is committed to making the legal industry more efficient and accessible through the use of cutting-edge technologies. And then for a law firm perspective, we're joined by Karen Jacks, CTO at Bird & Bird, who has overseen the global firm's expansion by providing strategic planning, building the international team, and delivery of support of IT solutions across the firm's more than 30 offices around the world. Karen is an active contributor to articles and conferences in legal tech, IT, and emerging technologies. And she's also on the advisory board of ILTA, and she's a keen supporter of diversity in technology. Also joining us today is Mike Creffield, business manager EMEA at NetDocuments, which is our proud partner for this webcast. NetDocuments is a cloud-first, cloud-only content management platform where you can secure, organize, automate, and collaborate on everything that matters to you. As always, we'd really like for this to be an occasion that is as interactive as possible. So there's going to be plenty of opportunity to hear from you, and we would really encourage that. So feel free to, at any point, pop into the chat your questions or any insights of your own or challenges that you've experienced, and we'll get to that in the second half of this webcast when we open the floor up for discussion. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce Bernhard Waltl, and from BMW Group to the conversation. Hi, Bernhard, how are you?
Hi, Reem. Good day. Yeah, I'm doing very good. Thank you.
Fantastic. So Bernhard, let's just get right into it. What business drivers motivated the legal department at BMW to adopt a cloud-first strategy? What core objectives were you looking to when you were trying to identify what solution to go with?
Well, so first of all, thanks for inviting me to share my insights and my, let's say, limited expertise on this topic. Let me start with a brief introduction. Like BMW Group, we are an automotive company. We are on the market for more than 100 years now. I would say that we are a very successful company. And so is the legal department of this company. We are acting on a global scale. So we do have like departments, not only here in Munich, where I am based, but also in France, in UK, North America, in South Africa, in China, South Korea, and other locations. So it's very exciting company to work in. And to go more specifically into the direction of what the business drivers for cloud-first strategy is, you have to understand that this is a huge company, more than 130,000 employees, plus a vital partner ecosystem. So we are embedded into a large organization, and this whole organization has an IT strategy, and in this IT strategy, we do see a huge movement towards cloud-first solutions in IT, but also in more general. And then I would say that we just naturally reacted and responded to this trend. So we in the legal department, and I do wear this legal operations, I do wear a software hat, and here this is my role, as you already introduced. We are, of course, contributing to that strategy. Yeah, and this is luckily not a contradiction, because when we started looking at the market, and we will speak about knowledge management, document management, then in greater depth. But when we started to look at the market, we really see that state-of-the-art systems in document management and knowledge management are cloud-first applications, like for example, NetDocuments. And this was one, let's say, from a strategic point of view, it was quite natural to us to follow this path, and I would say it really pays off. Yeah, this is something that we can say after a couple of years on this journey. We moved away from on-prem solutions. I'm tempted to say that on-prem solutions are maybe not that state of the art, but maybe this is not so true, I have to say. If you look at the landscape previously at the legal department of BMW Group, we had various solutions, on-prem solutions, for example, but we've seen also from a functionality perspective, they might get a little bit outdated, as for example, with data retention policies, but also other things. And with this modern tool stack, we are well equipped. And we are working towards what we call a single source of truth. As I stated at the beginning, we are a legal department that acts globally, and our senior legal management said from the beginning on, we want to have like one common platform. We want to work on towards one single source of truth, and this also imposed challenges that we faced. But luckily, with the tools available, we are getting there.
Since you mentioned the single source of truth, what challenges were there to creating the single source of truth, and how did you manage the migration effort across several systems in different markets and locations? And were some of them maybe quicker to adopt a more cloud-based system, or were they in a better position to do so than others?
Well, that's a good question. We could talk for hours on this, I guess. But let me then make a couple of observations I had. Yeah, I do come from a tech perspective, but I have to say, well, the challenges that we are facing, I always say, well, there are three buckets. We have like challenges on technology, we have challenges on the processes, and we have challenges regarding change, or let's say more general, like the people. And these three ingredients, they need to come together. Speaking about single source of truth, I think we can really now, with these tools that are available, you can say, well, the technology is not really the limiting factor. Yeah, like NetDocuments, powerful tool, great platform, tick in the box. But speaking about change and transformation, it was very important to us that we do get the buy-in from our legal management, from the senior legal management from the beginning on, and also really tell people, look, it's not about introducing a new technology simply because like we want to introduce something new, but it's really we want to prepare ourselves for the digital future. We want to become a more digitalized, maybe a digital first legal department. And this is where we say, well, single source of truth really contributes to that. In the past, we have had several systems on-prem, also some cloud-based systems, but this was, I would say, insufficient. Yeah, we said, well, we want to have like one place where we collaborate on documents, where we can handle the whole life cycle of a document, and where we also can not only internally but also collaborate with external partners. And I think this is what makes the single source of truth so important. And also speaking about aspects like that we see nowadays a lot, like AI. So having this data in one system at one platform, I think this can become an inflection point, or a main asset also towards that. So I think it's really worth working towards single source of truth. You were asking about migration aspects. Of course, this is not so trivial. One has to say we have had several months, we spent several months on migration projects, but we are on a very good track here. We are not yet fully migrated with all the data that we want to have in the platform, but we do have a plan, we do have a roadmap, and we will get there. We will get there soon. With regard to the question whether there's some departments or some areas that have been faster to adopt, that's difficult to say. I would say that we at BMW, we have been like innovative for more than 100 years. I would say innovation is somehow in the DNA of the company. And this is why the colleagues, they really did a fantastic job in adapting to this new technology. They really did. And this is really something that is so valuable, yeah, because, you know, like if people are ready, if people say, well, I want to get to this new system, then it makes your life as legal operations officer much easier. Yeah. And this is why I cannot tell in general whether some have been faster than others. Of course, you know, like some say, well, they are more equipped, or they have like within also the project plans and the workload, they have like more time to investigate and to get onto this new system. But overall, I would say we did very well. We had a staggered approach when rolling out NetDocuments, and this is also something that paid off, especially in a large organization, as we have it here, the legal department of our group.
Thank you, Bernhard, for going over that very comprehensively. One aspect of it, and obviously like the key theme of our webcast discussion today, is around cybersecurity. So how do you think that adopting a cloud-first strategy, has it added a layer of security to your cybersecurity response policy, or is it something where you have to balance out certain pros and cons?
Yeah, cybersecurity, IT security, that very important topics, especially for legal department. I would say that from my perspective, at least, and I'm happy to go into the discussion with experts, I would say that cloud applications are not, I would say, they are not in general more reliable or more secure. Yeah, let me put it that way. But to us, it is very important. And what we do see is that cloud vendors, they can respond maybe more quickly and more rapidly to vulnerabilities. Yeah, we have seen this, for example, with the Log4j example. I guess most of you have experienced or heard about it. This was really a complex task, but we felt very comfortable that NetDocuments upfront, and they responded quickly and proactively and said, well, look, there is this issue out there. It's known. We have reacted to that. Feel safe, feel secure. We have everything, every measure in place. And this really was something where I said, well, obviously a benefit from choosing a cloud first vendor or a SaaS solution. One has to be careful, so we cannot shift like this responsibility. We cannot say, well, we relax now, we lean back and say, well, everything that is related to cyber and IT security is now handled by NetDocuments or by a cloud provider. We still have a lot of things that we need to do internally. We have processes, we upskill our people, we have awareness, measurements and so forth. But having a strong partner and a cloud first partner here is really something where I would say from a technology point of view, it feels quite good.
Fantastic. Well, I think we'll definitely leave the question of people management to the second half of the discussion, because I'd love to have you and Karen speak about that more amongst yourselves. But just before we conclude, I'd really like to ask you about what outcomes you've seen in terms of collaboration, whether that's been improved, whether that's provided more flexibility, both with internal business partners, obviously as a legal department within a much larger corporation, but also with external clients or, legal firms. How is that? What outcomes have you seen, and then maybe what points of friction you think that still exist that haven't been fully addressed?
Yeah. So collaboration is, I think, one of the key aspects. But when thinking about how we in legal departments work, is just so much a collaboration internally, but also then externally. And as for example, with NetDocuments, some still say, well, we have a document management system, which is true. But I would go even further and say, well, we also have like a collaboration platform. We have a platform where we can almost like meet virtually, digitally, with all our documents, with our knowledge. And this is really something that is a strong plus. People internally say, well, it's great to have this platform, but also, as you mentioned, we are more and more engaging and interacting with our external law firms, external legal service providers on our platform. Be it in litigation cases, be it in transactional cases. And this is also something where I would say providing or having the possibility to provide a secure, stable, reliable data room that we control is something that really fits nicely into our strategy of becoming more digitalized, and also like showing that we are as a legal department, not lagging behind. We're not some department that sits somewhere at the BMW Group organization, but we really try to contribute. We want to enable our business partners, and most of all, also ourselves. And this collaboration aspect, having these data rooms, is definitely something that adds to this.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Bernhard. We'll catch up with you in a bit. I'm going to introduce our next speaker now. So just hang tight. And please, just a reminder to anyone who's attending that feel free to drop in your questions for Bernhard or for Karen in the chat. Obviously, feel free to add any insights or your own perspectives as well. We'd love for this to be an open discussion in the second half, so go ahead with that. Hi, Karen, how are you today?
I'm very well, thanks. Thank you, Reem, and thank you for asking me to take part today.
Oh, it's lovely to have you on. Thank you so much. I mean, what we really want is to get a perspective from like such a large and global law firm such as Bird & Bird. So can you talk us through the evolution of the technology requirements and solutions that have been implemented at Bird & Bird over time and across locations as you've expanded? And similarly, then what led to developing a cloud-first strategy? To a large extent, I assume it was a natural transition. But at what point did it become more of a business driver?
Okay, great. So, we had a strategy way back in around 2000, which is when I joined the firm, and a much smaller firm. We were 2-3 officers and a few hundred people. But we adopted a strategy then of we have to move forward with single platforms across the globe. So even in our various mergers and opening of new offices, we always adopted the same centralized platforms. And we went with a centralized document management system on premise. Cloud wasn't really quite the thing back then. But we went with always centralized, so we don't have pockets of data across different offices. We have exactly as Bernhard said, this ambition for a single source of the truth. I mean, one area, we are on premise with our document management system. We do have a strategy to move to cloud as vendors are naturally taking us there anyway. I wouldn't say that because it's on premise, it's out of date or not a modern platform. We keep it up to date. It is still a well-supported platform, but the complexities of running on premise do grow, particularly as you take more cloud products. So I think it's a natural transition for all firms that they will want to be moving if they are on premise to cloud products. But as I said, I do think there is a case for an established and mature on-prem systems not being seen as legacy. We still get a lot of value from these. So we don't have the challenge that Bernhard talked about in lots of disparate systems and wanting to get to a single source of the truth. The challenge we face now is how do we take what we have on premise, and we have a lot of integrations and lots and lots and lots of data. How do we take that forward into cloud products? And I think the other thing that really drives forward some of our strategy is how there's lots of new tech on the market, legal tech. There's numerous products. They are all, as you would expect, cloud first. And once you start to adopt more of those, it does make it more challenging when you've got this hybrid version of trying to get everything knitted together. So I think it's the natural direction of travel for everyone will be to be looking cloud first, and also thinking about how they might unpick their 20 years of on-premise product to take forward into the cloud.
Well, there's definitely a case to be made for not throwing the baby out with the bathwater in terms of strategy. And I'm very, very intrigued, and we'll definitely ask a question later about what you're doing in the legal tech space at the firm. Besides, obviously the natural progression and transition to cloud services, how has that, and also the ways in which cyber risks have evolved and become more complex over time, how has that also evolved the firm's strategy in terms of staying ahead of those threats and ensuring that whatever system or platform is being used, that it is secure? How has that relationship changed in the cloud era?
That's very interesting, because whilst we're trying to adopt cloud first, we actually find that we have a number of clients that potentially don't want to use cloud products. So we still see, particularly with some of our practice groups, where there is a desire not to use the cloud, which is almost impossible not to. You know, everything that we look at and do has cloud underpinning it. So we have to manage that really carefully, and we have to show to our clients how we're mitigating that perceived risk by looking at other technologies and processes and education of people in making sure that we are still very secure. So, for example, in our instance of Azure, we have put additional customer key encryption on that. So we hold the keys, and that fulfills some of the obligations that we have in some of our jurisdictions on this particular point. So we either have to build something in contractually, or we have to mitigate it with technology, and we've chosen the technology route there. We do use quite a lot of technology in the cyberspace. We are always keen to look at different technologies there that will help protect us, and not just from the traditional firewalling and virus protection, but things around, you know, data leak prevention, helping our users to understand what phishing is and how to address it. So we have a product that, you know, is continually doing little phishing campaigns and educating as part of it. You know, it's no point just investing in the technology if you're not prepared to invest in the education, because the user is really one of your biggest risk vectors when it comes to cybersecurity. You can have every technology, but if they still click that email. So we do invest quite a lot in that. I mean, working with trusted providers obviously takes a lot of the worry away that we have, but ultimately as the CTO, I'm still responsible, whether it's information security and cyber defenses are provided by a trusted provider or internally, I'm overall responsible for that. So it doesn't take the pain away. It just gives you a lot more scalability, I think, if you can work with a trusted provider.
Thank you. And as you mentioned, you've been using quite a lot of technology tools, including data rooms and other collaboration tools for many years now. Do you think that cloud solutions bring new opportunities for improvement, especially in the client experience area? As you mentioned earlier, obviously, that some clients are more resistant than others to adopting the same process or the same platforms as the firm uses. So where do you feel that how do you feel that those points of friction can be more fully addressed and simplifying the change management process?
Yes, yeah, that's a good question. I think it is a slightly ironic, because we can have clients that are quite nervous about using cloud solutions, but actually the lawyers of these clients love to use collaboration tools, because anything that reduces their email, helps them in their day-to-day work, they're going to enjoy that. And particularly with clients that maybe, you know, much more cost conscious and driven, we have to demonstrate efficiencies, and you can get a lot of efficiencies through using collaboration platforms. So it's a slight balance we have to try and strike there. I think on the collaboration space, I think, you know, many of us will have been sharing documents using data rooms for some years, and there's a number of tools that are very established there. But I think with the advent of Teams and that, you know, and any of these platforms that we're all now using, you know, much more than we were a few years ago, there is much more of a desire to offer different ways of collaborating. And we've done quite a lot of investment on how we might work with clients in our own Teams infrastructures, both not just for co-authoring and collaborating on documents, but also using, you know, project management tools. We're seeing a real rise in the desire to see matters being run very as efficiently as possible. So our legal project management team are using lots of different cloud-based tools to work with clients to help that, and they've kind of knit these tools together to suit the client requirements. So this space is only going to get bigger. It's not Sometimes it can be a bit challenging because sometimes using these tools will be a change of behavior needed, both with our lawyers and our clients, in, you know, taking them out of email, using, you know, the platform to get the latest on a matter, to find the latest version of documents and so on. But generally we see in all the pitches we do, all the RFPs we do, there is a real desire to demonstrate that we can be very flexible and very technology and process focused in this space for the best efficiency.
Thank you. And I know that there's a lot going on at the firm in the legal tech space. Can you tell us more about how the firm approaches identifying use cases for new innovations in legal technology?
Yeah, so we are quite a tech-focused firm. A lot of our clients are in the tech space, so we feel, you know, we need to align with that. I've got huge amounts of lawyers that love tech and want to use as much technology as they can. We have a focus group, a legal tech focus group, which is around 200 people that come and share ideas on different technology they've seen, used in different organizations. We have an innovation pathway, which enables anyone in the firm to come up with an idea, not just tech, but often they are technology focused. And we've been having quite a lot of fun in trialing new products. And I think that's where the beauty of cloud comes in, and that it's relatively straightforward. You can take a bunch of licenses, you can do a trial, you can really see how it might fit within our business without having to do lots of investment and resource on infrastructure to support that. We recently did a hackathon around ChatGPT, and we've got another one coming up. And, you know, only this morning I've looked at 3 nice new little apps that we've created around the ChatGPT platform that really start to help people with small pain points. You know, it doesn't have to be a big transformational. It can be, this is a problem and here's a solution to help you with it. So we're having quite a lot of fun in this space at the moment. And it's actually quite interesting doing that rather than just the usual stuff that we end up doing.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Karen. I'd like to invite all the other participants. So yeah, my question is basically jumping off of what Karen said about, you know, trialing new technology. A big part of that is also about listening to what either your clients want or need, or law firms working with corporate legal departments or vice versa. So how important is it that the other side share a cloud philosophy or a stance? And if there are any particular challenges that might arise from not being quite on the same page?
I mean, I can jump in here actually, so because we see that quite a lot. We offer sort of compliance as a service really at NetDocuments as custodians of the data in our data centers. We often answer security questionnaires, governance questionnaires that law firms and corporate departments like BMW send us on behalf of their clients. So we can answer those, and we do those a lot. We do too many perhaps, but it's all part of the service we offer. And typically what those people will be asking for will be similar to what we offer, but they're asking it in their own way. So often we find that we have a better solution, but they're asking questions that don't really marry up to ours. But there's an education process there, and we're always willing to talk to those people and educate them as to the approach that we use and the certifications that we have as a service. And I would imagine that's the same for Karen and Bernhard as well. So the same but different.
Yeah, I mean, we see exactly that. And we often find that these questionnaires can be quite binary. There's like a yes or a no. And of course, there's not a yes or a no, is there? It can, you know, if someone's like, are you using cloud services? You have to say yes, but you want to say yes. But
yeah,
we're doing this, and this, you know, to mitigate any risks that you think they will then come back with. But
and all the jurisdictions, Karen, as well. You know, with China as well. You know, that's always a
China's
a struggle,
challenge at the
and
moment,
more
yeah.
recently Russia. But it's that's an ongoing concern, and to keep up to date ourselves with that across all of the certifications that we have to update. I mean, it's a full-time job for that department, that's for sure, and I imagine it is for you.
Yeah, maybe also from my perspective, it's interesting to see how also, let's say, the mandate of legal departments somehow changes. Yeah, especially when it comes up to collaboration with external law firms. We have like hundreds of law firms we do collaborate with now for many years, maybe even for decades. And out of a sudden, we start asking them on cybersecurity, IT security stuff, about their digitalization strategy. So we have more and more the expectations to also collaborate with state-of-the-art law firms. And I would say Bernhard, they do a great job here. But there are also smaller law firms, highly specialized. They have a hard time in digitalization. So there's no free lunch actually out there. But out of a sudden, they see like BMW is asking more, do you have good processes? Do you have standards? Do you comply with industry standards? This imposes this somehow the game changes, yeah, and then having like a platform vendor or having like a partner that supports different parties is also something that is very beneficial here. I'm now speaking more about the collaboration with partners outside of our group. Internally, we have, I would say, less of a hurdle because we are within the same governance framework anyway. So we can rely more on our central IT here.
You mentioned the China example of different regulatory requirements. How do you stay up to date on all the shifting and evolving regulatory requirements across multiple jurisdictions, and how do you enable them to use the same platforms as yourselves?
Maybe I can start with that one. Karen, she mentioned nicely flexibility. I would also add like working in an agile way. Things are changing so rapidly. We just need to have like more a tech stack that can also adapt to this kind of changing regulation. As for example, with China, it paid off that we have like this Flex Store Pro functionality in NetDocuments, so that we can make sure data resides in China, at some cloud, some private cloud that we might bring along with. But this shows on a very specific and concrete example how this technology needs to be compliant, needs to fulfill, needs to enable us, because otherwise we would have a hard time rolling out such a platform on a global scale, speaking about the single source of truth, if this technology cannot adapt. And I firmly believe that we will see more of these examples in the future. And then thinking about that we have like an internal solution, or that we develop something by ourselves that fulfills with all of this, is very unlikely, I have to say. So this is why we need this kind of partnerships. We need these platforms that also serve other clients with the technology stack, so that we can also leverage improvements in the products there. Maybe this shows a little bit the balance, but also the challenge that we are facing.
It's just important to have a lot of different options available. That's for sure. I think, Karen, you mentioned CMEC, so customer managed encryption keys. We're seeing more interest in CMEC. I mean, we have just over 4,000 clients all on the same platform with NetDocuments. I'd say less than 10% use customer managed encryption keys. It's mainly the larger firms and larger corporates, and certainly our banking clients. It's a must for them. So it's having these options available to comply with their own governance and security regulations and that of their clients. So ultimately that means that in the case of Bird, the Bird will have a key, the customer will have a key, and the technology partner will have a key, and only if all three keys are present will you be able to access the data. So that's CMEC in a nutshell. Happy to explain that in more detail to anyone that may wish to learn more. But there's lots of different ways. I think the key, and we've mentioned a few things, is it has to be as frictionless as possible for the legal professional ultimately. So all of these security controls, we absolutely have to have them, but we'll try and make that as frictionless as possible. And one example of that, if everyone's familiar with the SALI Alliance standard. So we work with SALI, and to and to build those controls in, and that method, those standards, we find we've had really good feedback from our customers around that, and they're a good team to work with. So I encourage people to look into that. The SALI Alliance standard. SALI is spelled SALI, if you're not familiar, and that's probably a whole new webcast on its own to talk about SALI, and that would be great. But secure links, we're seeing more and more people not wanting to send actual documents, but actually send the links to documents. And again, that's a feature in any modern DMS cloud platform. Portals have been mentioned. So if you've got more documents to upload, so customers can upload documents into a client portal area and download information. That's always been popular. I think Karen also mentioned data loss prevention. So preventing the horse from bolting before it does. Having some controls set, then that's prevalent. Certainly in our system it is. The certifications, the CMEC, the Microsoft integrations to make sure that you're getting the most out of your Microsoft Office 365 investments that you've made, and generative AI, what Bernhard touched upon. Lots of security concerns, governance concerns around that right now, but and again, we should have a webcast on that. But controlling who is running generative AI in your firm, only using your data, purging that data so it doesn't train the large language model, all of that is discussion. And I was at a conference earlier this week, and that was a high topic of conversation, certainly, and we're going to see more and more of that. And we've got a fantastic tool on our platform that does all of that. Happy to expand on that at the right time as well.
Fantastic. We'll get to that in a bit. I just want to remind everyone that we still have some time in case you want to throw in your questions into the chat or any insights or input that you'd like to give. Karen, I'd like you to weigh in on what Mike and Bernhard said, but also, how do you think in terms of security considerations that working with more and more cloud providers have maybe contributed to that, or how are you managing the potential friction between security, but then also the need for flexibility and productivity? So just, to put your lawyer hat on for a minute, how does that work?
Yeah, I mean, no lawyer wants to have to do anything around security, and I don't blame them because it is boring. But using product like CMEC is seamless to the lawyer. They have no idea that is going on in the background. We've done that at Azure and AWS level. So if we're working with a new legal tech provider or an existing one, we negotiate with them that we want to use CMEC. Most providers are happy to do that, exactly as Mike explained it. You then set it up with your instance with the new product. You all hold key. You all need the key to make that work. A lawyer has no idea that's going on, or a user. That's just seamless to them. The areas that they do know more about is the point about multi-factor authentication. That everyone finds that a bit of a drag. However simple you try and make it, nobody, they just want to hit a button and everything work everywhere. So that's always a little bit challenging. I think on the other areas, so like the phishing we do, we've tried to make it fun. We've gamified it with a product so that there's leaderboards and bit of education, and most people love it. They want to get to ninja level. They like the competitiveness of, I haven't missed a single missed a single targeted phishing email to me, and I haven't clicked on one that I never should have done. And so you've got to try and build it into their day rather than expecting they're going to go off and have an hour's education on what not to click. I mean, they're just never going to do that. But I think it is all about agility and flexibility. There's always new products coming on the market. We regularly change some of our products in the InfoSec cyber piece because new, better products arrive, and we should, just always be looking at what benefit they can do and stitch together sort of a stack of products that cover all of the likely areas that you want to cover off. But the key is they've got to be ease of use. If it's difficult for people to use, they just will find a way around it. So make it easy, or expect they will just cheat. So
it's hard enough getting them to change their password every 3 months, Karen, let alone
I've personally heard of one law firm that introduced a pub quiz to get people on board. So that's a strategy. Bernhard, I wonder if you could comment a little bit on, the training and awareness building amongst the people, the user as a vector for cyber threats. How do you need to do that? Like, obviously, even with a fantastic, cloud provider, basically implementing that on your end within the people, within the culture and behavior change management. How is that being addressed?
Yeah. So luckily, we do have a huge IT and cybersecurity team here within our central IT. So I would say it's not the main responsibility of legal operations to take care of that. However, with this role of legal operations, we also have the role of IT security officers. So we do support them. So we are more like a hub and spoke organization here. So we have this information security head that we wear for the legal department. And of course, then we do support the measures that they have. And we have really, there's a variety of things that are going on, from conferences, on-site conferences, awareness measures sent out on a quarterly basis. You can also subscribe to almost like on a daily basis. You get information. There's much more that you can digest, or that also our lawyers can digest. I have to say honestly, I think it's also about funneling and helping them to really navigate through this complex field. Really increase the awareness. They will look multi-factor authentication. This is something that's a no-brainer. So don't try to avoid, accept it. Yeah, it really makes systems more stable, more reliable, more secure. There are other things that are more dedicated to plants or to those who working close to prototypes, car prototypes, where we will say, well, this is not so important for us here, but we want to increase awareness in other areas. Gamification, wherever it helps, totally. I see that not everybody is so much into gamification, especially lawyers. They say, well, I'm not here to play some kind of a game. I don't want to see myself on the scoreboard. We also have a strong workers council. They say, well, do not try to make some kind of an internal competition among colleagues. And we totally appreciate that. So I would say whatever works. And I really like what Karen said about being agile, being flexible, having systems that scale. I think that's the future, because the requirements from a business, they constantly change. They need to react more rapidly to changing market, changing regulation throughout the world. And this is why we say, as legal, we need to get ourselves into a position where we can say, well, not become the guardian or guardian or let's say not the guardian in a negative sense, but I said we are here to enable you. We are all in this together. Yeah. So we will not hide away and say, well, for legal or compliance it works differently, but we say, okay, we have these challenges, we need to face it, but we also have technologies, we have processes, and we have the people and the skills so that we can fulfill and comply with.
Karen, you mentioned that lawyers really love the opportunity to play with new tech. Where are you seeing the most excitement amongst what might be possible? I'm assuming, I actually don't want to put words in your mouth, but it has been used several times already, generative AI. Yeah. But besides that, I wonder what it is about, playing with new technology that is particularly driving this interest. Is it just the technology itself, or is it, improvement, like career improvement, upskilling, advancement? Is it client uplift? What is kind of driving that? And how are you looking to explore that, not just amongst lawyers, but maybe with your clients or the legal departments that you might be working with?
Yeah, I think the biggest driver from a lawyer's perspective, if there's technology that can take a pain point out of their day, then they are going to want to use it. So areas around, contract review, just products that obviously lawyers spend a lot of time in Word and doing large complex documents. So any product that they can work over those documents, that take what is a Word function that isn't that great to a better level. You know, we often talk about some of these products, they're like Word on steroids. So it's kind of, I'm trying to think without naming names, but you know, there are some products that will check your document for you, that will fix clauses, that will do a much more advanced version of a find and replace, you know, much more intelligent version of that type of thing. That for a lawyer's perspective is like, they love it because it's a pain point that there's a piece of tech that can help with that. So we're always looking at different things there. We're always looking at different collaboration tools, project management tools. That's been a real, again, to help lawyers manage their day, manage their time, manage the resource they've got working on a matter without having to go to more sophisticated tools. So we've been doing quite a lot looking at tools that enable that they can just spin up themselves. You know, people, we're finding, particularly with this, I don't want to say younger generation, but like are they the Gen Zs? I'm never quite sure which generation is which. But, you know, they're very used to self-serve, using tech, and they want that same experience within their professional life. So when they join, you know, and if you gave them very like, oh, you can only do this and you only do that, they're not keen on that. They want to be much more flexible and using different and new tech. I think some lawyers will see this very much as enabling their career. You know, if they're working, particularly if they're working through up to a partnership, part of that is how they work with clients, how they have good practice skills, and so they see technology as aiding that. We do lots of work with clients. I mean, I and my team, we often talk to clients with lawyers on how we can work better together. What we do here, we share war stories on, oh, this is really difficult, isn't it? You know, because they've all got the same issues. We've all got the same issues. So we're always very open about some of the challenges we've had and how we've addressed those with technology or better process. The AI piece has obviously gone completely mad this year. I mean, the interest is still high. I mean, I've got lots of people very high, but they're now beginning to see that it's not going to utterly transform everything we do, but again, it's going to start to just these small little apps you can do. You go, oh, that's really clever, and that's sort of that, you know, and that's kind of the approach we're doing, rather than it's going to transform how we work as a firm overnight. It's not going to do that, and I think everyone's realised that. But there's lots of ways, and we gather use cases by talking to people and running these little mini hackathons, and you get some great, you know, people talking about it and then take it wider within their practice groups.
Yeah, I agree, because that's the greatest challenge is getting those use cases out, because you see a lot of generative AI tools come out and they're addressing sort of mass market things, but for the lawyers, low code, no code, that's what they love, and to make it applicable for their practice area, they want to play with it, and so we're seeing lots of that, certainly with our toolkit.
Mike, I wonder, I mean, besides just obviously what lawyer, I mean, it sounds like what Karen said resonates a lot with you in terms of what you've heard from other lawyers. Could you just kind of expand a little bit on what you think is like perhaps a grounded approach to how you look at new technology that we might not understand the best use cases of, or they're in such an emergent and nascent stage that, you know, it's really easy to get too far ahead of yourself. So what is a kind of a good way of sort of approaching, you know, how one adopts legal innovation in a way that is both responsible but also caters to current needs, but also anticipates future requirements?
It's really tough, isn't it? I mean, it is really tough. So you're talking about, you know, the hot topic, the generative AI, because that's what people are really worried about. I think what I mentioned earlier about you are having to control the tap. So to control who is able to use that and when they're able to use that, it's very important. Using like the secret source of any law firm and corporate legal team is the documents and emails that you own. So you want to interrogate that data, and if you want to use generative AI to do that, great, but make sure it is your data. Own that black box yourself. I mean, you could go out and buy 4 or 5 point solutions for generative AI right now, but perhaps you want to come back and think about adding something to the platform instead, and that's our approach. And using prompts that aren't going to train the large language model that you pick as well. You know, having that purged, and that's our approach. That's our thoughtful, methodical, controlled, secure approach that we're advocating, and the feedback that we've had from the customers that have been beta testing that, and now that's rolling out to the market, has been really positive. It's been really well received, and it's important to speak, just like, you know, Karen speaks to her customers. You know, we bring those along, our customers along that journey as well, because we need to hear from them the use cases and how they're going to apply it, and that affects us in how we're delivering our functionality around generative AI. So yeah, consultative approach and cautious and careful approach, but also controlling that tap.
Thank you. And a last question, and I'm just going to throw this open to the room, is that, you know, obviously with clients and firms and legal departments sometimes having slightly different philosophies for how to manage a single source of truth. What are your, I mean, how have your priorities, or have they been addressed both by new technology like going cloud native, or do you see it being addressed through generative AI in terms of capturing better quality data, but also being able to derive better quality insights from it?
I would say having different philosophies is not a problem as such. I would say maybe this is also something valuable, yeah, because we must not expect that you can, there's a Bernhard sitting in Munich with his group and with his team, and what he or what they think is the ultimate truth. But, you know, like accepting, maybe embracing different perspectives may lead to better solutions. So this is something we should never forget, especially not when it comes up to establishing a single source of truth, which are like, what about versioning, naming conventions, processes, skills, all these factors that we've touched upon. So I would not say this is a contradiction, but this is rather something that we need to accept. Yeah, this is just something that goes along with the journey. Similarly with Gen AI, I do, from a computer science perspective, I find it really fascinating what we can do. But I think sooner or later, and I hope rather sooner, we'll have a more rational and a less emotional discussion about this, and really think about, okay, this is an additional tool in our toolbox. How can we do it? How can we make the best out of it? And it's exactly these boundary conditions that Karen, but also Mike mentioned. Does it fulfill all our IT security standards? Can we ensure purging, and so forth? Yeah? And how can we seamlessly integrate this into our processes, be it into the pattern builder, or be it via some interoperable standards, REST APIs, mentioning that. So I think these things come together that at a first glance might look as a contradiction, but at the second step, in the third step, those things need to be brought together mentally, and different perspectives definitely help.
Yeah, I agree with all of that. I mean, I think there is a distinction between, in my mind, what I'd call our core tech, which is our document management, practice management, time recording. It's not optional. You as a user, whatever you are, be a business services, lawyer, whatever, that's the products we use. Then we have like the non-core, which will be the Gen AI, the new legal tech products. If people are like, no, don't want to use that, I'm quite happy to, that's fine. And we're totally fine with that. We encourage people to use different products, but we're not going to insist, because some people are just not comfortable with that. They like their way of working. They've got it working their way. So there is a distinction. They come together, but there is still a distinction there. And as long as they store their documents there, if they don't use this, then I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I think that really goes back to kind of core themes that have emerged in this conversation, which is control plus flexibility. Thank you so much, Karen Jacks, Bernhard Waltl, Mike Creffield, for participating in this webcast today. Thank you so much to our partner NetDocuments. And we look forward to seeing you all very soon, either at a webcast, one of our virtual events, or maybe in a live meetup. That would be fantastic. I really, really hope you all have a lovely, lovely day. Thank you so much for joining us. To all of our attendees, have a lovely day. Thank you again.